Listen, money saving tips is not going to work when somebody's setting your house and your community on fire. You know what I'm saying? And that is what is happening here. Yeah? Okay, so I want to talk about what Martin Lewis said yesterday. Martin Lewis, for anyone who doesn't know, is the money saving expert here in the UK. He's got a website, he appears on TV a lot, telling people how to save money, basically. So a lot of people are reaching out to him now because millions of people are worried about the energy prices going up. They're already struggling with the food prices going up. They know that food prices are going to go up more, and they know that the tax rises are going to come in very soon as well. So this is a very serious situation. We've spoken about it a lot. A lot of people are really struggling for money right now. So they're reaching out to Martin Lewis, the money saving expert, to say, you know, how can we cope with this, basically. So this guy, Martin Lewis, he went on Breakfast TV yesterday, and he basically said, look, all these guys are reaching out to me, and I'm in a situation where I've run out of things to tell these people, basically. Like, we're reaching the point now where people are literally going to be losing thousands of pounds every year, and there's no way you can fix that by just optimizing your personal finances. You know, you're not going to fix that by like switching to a new gas provider. Like, there's no way. Like, everything is expensive, right? And the first thing is to say, like, this shows how extreme the situation is, and the situation is very extreme. But the second thing is, this reminds me of, we make a lot of videos, right? And very often, what comes back from the videos, people send messages saying, what can I do in terms of, they know I'm a trader, they're like, can I make money from trading, for example, or can I make money from investing? Just now we filmed a video in the park near here, and some kids came up to us and said, oh, do you give advice on personal finance, right? And totally understand this. I understand this, you know what I mean? Like, I've been poor myself. You see things happening and you're just like, what can I do to protect myself, protect my family, to make money, right? But the problem is, we're in a situation here where, because effectively of government mismanagement of crisis, managing a crisis in such a way that all the pain goes on poor and ordinary people, and the rich make like a crap ton of money, we've created a situation where increasingly, no matter what you do, you can't protect yourself. You know what I mean? But we've created a society where we put the responsibility of protecting individuals on the individuals. Meanwhile, the government is doing nothing to protect individuals and is actively making the situation for individuals worse. But the natural response of people is to say, what can I do for me? And understand that. So they contact me and say, what can I do for trading? Or they go online and they try and trade Bitcoin, or they try and get involved in FX trading, or they contact Martin Lewis and they say, you know, what can I do to optimize my finances? But the problem is, if everybody is successfully convinced that what you need to do is focus on your personal individual situation, and at the same time, the government is basically fucking everybody over, we increasingly get in a situation where people don't fight back. And while every single person is individually trying to save themselves, the government is just screwing everybody. It's a bit like, you know, in kung fu films, when like 100 bad guys fight Bruce Lee one at a time. That's basically what we're doing, you know, like, the rich are taking everything, and the only power we have is there's more of us. And we are like individually, one at a time, are like, well, maybe I can change my electricity provider, or maybe I can make money trading Bitcoin, you know what I mean? But you're fighting against millionaires and billionaires here, you know what I mean? You're not going to beat these guys. These guys want your house. They want your house. They want your house, they want your money, they want your pension, they want your assets, they want you in debt. And it's not because they're evil, it's just because they're rich and they can do it, right? And you are not going to fight back by, you know, changing your electricity provider, you know what I mean? Or doing these individual things. If you are just a person who has a net worth of 50, 60 grand, you can't beat these guys with a net worth of 50, 60 million. But we live in a world where people are being convinced you have to take care of just yourself, and you have to compete with the millionaires. And yet people are not uniting. Meanwhile, the rich and the government are just screwing everybody, you know what I mean? So I think what this made me realize is, and I reached out to Martin Lewis, you know, hopefully it'd be great if he reaches back. People watching, send a message to Martin Lewis, tell him to contact me. We're in a situation here where unless ordinary people unite in some meaningful way, it's going to be, seriously, it's going to be a disaster. And it is happening. It's happening now. It's a disaster. Do you know what I'm saying? And people who watch it might be seeing me getting like increasingly like angry in my videos, because you know I've been out here saying for like more than 10 years now, if you don't deal with inequality, it's going to be an economic disaster for ordinary people, and it is. You know, unaffordable housing, no good jobs, you know, bad quality of living, unable to afford the basics. And now suddenly we have a crisis that massively increases inequality, and it's going to get worse. And the only way we're going to stop this is if ordinary people, poor and ordinary people en masse, come together and demand it. Because look, the Chancellor's father-in-law is a billionaire. He's not going to give it to us, right? And all of the government, they're all super, super rich guys, right? They're not going to give it to us. And they're funded by even richer guys. They're not going to give it to us. We are only going to improve this if we come together to push back. And yet everybody is just looking for money-saving tips. It's not, you know, it's not going to work. Money-saving tips. Listen, money-saving tips is not going to work when somebody's setting your house and your community on fire. You know what I'm saying? And that is what is happening here. You know what I mean? You know, if your country's being invaded, you don't need money-saving tips. You need to fight back. And that is what is happening here, you know. Our wealth as a community, as a country, is being taken by the super rich and by essentially a corrupt government, to be honest. You know, if you have a government that has a crisis, enriches the richest massively, takes away food and energy from the poor, raises taxes on ordinary people, and cuts taxes on the super rich, with a chancellor who is a billionaire, that is a corrupt government. You know what I mean? It's a corrupt government. You know, you can talk about corruption in the Russian government. Look at our government. Look at what they are doing to this country. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think Martin Lewis is a great guy. You know, do what you can to protect yourself and your family. But the fact is, this is beyond money-saving tips. And if we do not unite ordinary people, if we do not come together as ordinary people and demand a fairer distribution of wealth, and demand not only that the rich stop getting richer, but that we get something back, then things are going to keep getting worse. So yeah, I would encourage people watching, get involved, support the message, and understand crucially we need to do something about wealth inequality, and that will only be achieved acting together and acting politically. And I'm not talking about political parties, I'm talking about politics as the exercise of power. And our power is, there's more of us. And we only use that if we come together. And if we do not come together, we lose. And if we lose, we see what is happening. We lose our houses, we lose the ability to live financially secure lives. And that's what's going to happen. So yeah, people need to come together, you know, and I would love them to support this message and to share it. Yeah. That's all. And if Martin Lewis is watching, send me a message, because we need to make stuff happen. That's it. What is there to say? Housing could be so much more affordable, wages could be so much higher, and we could have so many more options in how we live our lives. Some of them put a lot of money into paying economists and think tanks to tell you that inequality is important for the economy. That is not true.